Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Michael. I am one of the founders of a company called Sprooki. We are a company that does some technology stuff, which I'll talk about in a moment, but the important thing from your point of view is that we're a technology company that works with retailers and shopping malls across the Asia-Pacific region, including here in Indonesia. And we specialise in creating the bridge between the online and the offline world. So I'm going to talk to you about a lot of digital technology, a lot about e-commerce, but it is ultimately all about helping retailers capture sales, whether they are online or offline. And there's three areas in particular that I'm going to talk through, or three kind of strategies to help you get some sense of what's happening with the most successful retailers that are doing this sort of stuff. So just to start with, 30-second commercial. So we're a software company. Our software is the engine in the cloud with very sophisticated analytics and machine learning technology that also sits as an engine inside retailers' apps and websites and social media connections. So we're very much involved directly in the retail process, but as a software company. So what you see with us is retailers around the region that have seen traditional competition from other malls, other retailers still being there, as well as the new competition of pure play e-commerce companies. So our customers are typically looking for how do we serve our shoppers both in-store and online. So we have a whole suite of tools, which again, I won't go into the detail, but if you're in the retail space, then we have a whole range of technology solutions to help engage with your customers. So let's first of all talk about what we see in the retail environment currently. And Indonesia has one of the advantages of many of the Asian markets over some of the more mature Western markets, that you've got quite strong market growth. We have customers in other parts of the world, say Australia as an example, where if they got 1 or 2% growth, they would be very happy in a year. In a market like this, if you got 1 or 2% growth, you'd be very unhappy, I understand. So in some markets, we're seeing people forced to be innovative, and they're being forced because it's so hard to grow. The other side of that is here in Indonesia, because you have still quite strong overall market growth. The retail sector is growing fairly well. That sometimes can mean that in terms of being innovative in your thinking, that it can be easy just to keep doing the same thing and not worry about what you should be doing next to stay ahead of your customers, or at least keeping up with your customers' needs. So this first section is really just to talk about the need for innovation as a strategy. So in our business, we talk a lot about digital commerce. So we no longer talk about e-commerce or m-commerce. We just talk about internet-enabled or digital commerce versus in-store commerce. And what we're seeing emerging very rapidly, and there's a lot of statistics on this, is that while digital commerce is growing very fast, there's a bigger and more important issue that's growing even faster, and that is digital influence. So let's just talk for a moment about what that actually means. So in our world, digital commerce is somebody actually transacting online or through their mobile, so they've actually placed the order and made a payment. And that's super good and growing fast, and everybody loves it. And in the last year, depending on which country you're in and which category you're in, it might have captured anywhere from nothing to 25% of a particular category's sales. But at a global level, e-commerce now represents about 10% of retail sales. That's a big number. But you have to flip it over onto its head and realise that that means that 90% of commerce is still happening in stores. And so the smarter marketers that have realised that have come back from board meetings where the CEO has said, okay, so that whole e-commerce thing, that's going fine, but what are you doing to grow in-store sales? How are you addressing this new concept of omni-channel? And that leads people to think about this issue of digital influence. In its simplest form, digital influence is shoppers getting their information, anything from doing a Google search right through to looking at your website, as part of the process that leads them to make a purchase decision. But they may still make that purchase decision in a store. So this could be seen in things like somebody seeing an ad on Facebook and then clicking through to a website and deciding they like a pair of shoes, or it could be a shopper standing in your store right now looking at your products, but they're also browsing on their mobile to see if your competitor down the road has a better price. Either way, digital influence is all about this is how people actually make their purchase decisions today. So in all of the excitement of growing an e-commerce business, when you start to relate it back to how can e-commerce help me in store, you need to think a little more broadly. Think about how can we influence people? And that influence might be in the form of coupons or vouchers. It could be product information, it could be ads on Google, it could be your own branded app. There's a whole range of ways that people are influenced now. But where once upon a time, the main way of influencing shoppers' behaviour was with TV advertising, newspaper advertising. Now we are in a world where the key way to influence shoppers is by getting onto their handset, getting onto their mobile through some means. And that may not mean actually them buying, but you're getting to them, giving them the information they need so that they come to your store. So first key strategy is to think innovation, think beyond what you've done in the past, and start to see how you can influence customers using data to be able to put things in front of them. And those things are not necessarily buy through the app, but it's recommendations, win-back marketing programs, a location-based ad that's sent to them when they're 500 metres from the store. Strategy one is all about thinking beyond the way you think now. Which kind of leads us into the second section, which is connected shoppers today expect more from you. So if I can just ask a question here, how many of you are involved with a traditional retail store, a bricks and mortar store? All right, a few? Yeah, okay. So the people in the room that are from pure play e-commerce, that's one issue. But for those of you that are involved in bricks and mortar retailing that's trying to come to grips with the new world, this is really a super, super important part for you. Shoppers today have gone through something that's been written about. There's a very good book that was published last year called The Mobile Mind Shift. So today, when I'm on my phone, it doesn't matter where I am, what time of day it is, whatever it is that I'm looking for, I want information now, okay? Now, I might be looking up a pair of Adidas shoes that I'm thinking of buying tomorrow. I might be looking up where I could go and see a movie. And so those things are things that I will do in the future. I'm not necessarily buying it right now, but what the mobile internet has done is created a world where people have the expectation that they can get information, again, I'll say it, now. So wherever they are, whatever time of day it is, whatever they are thinking about, they want you to serve them. So in a lot of the marketing plans that we help our customers build now, we talk about an old concept brought new. And the idea and the concept is context. So in the early years of using our technology, it was very much about location-based marketing. We can know when a customer is 500 metres from your store. We, today, using beacon technology, can know when a customer is 5 metres from your store. So we know a whole lot about location, about customers. But the real issue with location is that it tells you something about the customer and perhaps their shopping behaviour. So if I'm sitting on my sofa at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night and we can tell you that they have browsed shoes on your website and they have looked for store locations and opening hours, there's some information there that would predict maybe they're thinking about going into a store tomorrow to try on a pair of shoes. Maybe they don't want to buy them right now. Maybe they just want to get more information and know where they can go tomorrow. If the technology can tell you that the customer is moving at approximately 60 kilometres an hour, hang on, sorry, I'm thinking of Singapore traffic, approximately 15 kilometres an hour in Jakarta traffic, and they're moving towards your store, and we know from past purchase history that they bought something yesterday, what does that tell us? Maybe they're coming back with a complaint, maybe they're coming back to buy something else. But location, along with the time of day, what we know in terms of their profile and their preferences and their purchase history, now feeds into the type of content that you should be serving them. So when I say content, I mean the stuff that you send to your website, the stuff that you put on your mobile app. That content could be promotions and offers, new product launches, the ability to buy, an RSVP request for an event coming up. So you, in many ways now, kind of need to think like a media company. You think about the content that you publish and putting the right content in front of people. So when I was sitting on the lounge at 11 o'clock, as I was talking about a moment ago, looking for product information, store locations and shopping hours, you want to make it really easy to put that information in front of me because clearly I'm browsing. As if I'm looking in your store website or app the next day at 11 a.m. and you know that I'm only 500 metres for the store, maybe at that point I'm ready to buy. So rather than store information, maybe it's now some sort of incentive or reward or offer that might give me a reason to go and buy them right now. So the second learning is all about, or second tactic is all about, context is so important for you to understand not just where the customer is, what time of day it is, but also what's their situation and what is most likely to be the content that they want to see that's then going to lead them to a purchase. Here's a practical example of it, and ultimately this is all about personalisation. So using your existing systems, you might know this. You might know that her name is Hillary, she's a gold member in your loyalty program, she loves fashion, spends 1 to 2 million rupiah a month, typically spends 250, 300,000 each time she comes in. So that's all good and useful information, isn't it? But if all of a sudden you could add She's just walked into the mall from the taxi stand. It's the third time she's been in this week, and she's actually 10 metres from your store right now. How would that change your marketing? If you knew that information and were able to respond to it in real time, how much better a job do you think you could do as a marketer in getting Hillary's attention and giving her a reason to come back into the store a fourth time to spend more money? Okay? The answer to that is, if you have that information, you can do a much better job of engaging and giving relevant content so that they will spend more money with you. Here's some ideas that you could do in the digital space now pretty easily. And I'm not going to drill into these in any great detail, but just to give you a kind of a sense based on that previous example. So let's just talk through them very quickly. These days, you might have a very nice app that your customers are using, and you've got beacons located in your store that alert the technology when a customer comes into the store. If you had a real super VIP customer program, and you could then start thinking about something like having an app on your staff's phone that alerts them that a customer named Pablo has just walked in, and when he comes to the counter, they've got, oh, okay, good afternoon, Mr. Amate, welcome back to XYZ. There's one idea. We can do that for you today. Event and restaurant bookings, pretty straightforward. Table reservation, might be in the fashion space. We have a fashion show tonight at 6 o'clock. Would you like to reserve a seat? Valued customer. You've got a digital catalogue, so instead of doing these things, you've done something like that. Not 5,000 or 10,000 SKUs, but just the most popular 20 to 50 items. You've got that available now. You've got the ability for somebody to buy a gift voucher and then gift it to somebody else. So I can buy a 50 million rupiah voucher and then send it to my friend Pablo. You've got the ability to say, hey, here's a special instant discount, 10% off right now, valid for the next hour. You've got the ability to take that content and send it out to your own app, to your website, to Facebook, to Path, to WhatsApp, to Messenger, to give you greater distribution. You've got the ability to take different brands and put them together, a bit like a fashion special. Here's a shirt, skirt, and shoes from 3 different companies that you can buy in one easy way. These are all various digital ideas, all of which customers of ours in different ways are using in their own different situation. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of that last slide. So if Hillary was one of your customers and you could do all of these things, what would be the right one to put in front of her? Now, the answer to that is that's a marketing decision made in real time, can be automated, but that's the type of thing in terms of using online to drive customers into store that you can do today. And the last part, just to talk through, is really knowing your customers and moving into not just understanding their needs and not even predicting their needs, but actually really meeting their needs. You hear a lot of people talking about analytics and how analytics is the new thing, big data, lots of confusing phrases. There's kind of this hierarchy. We have a whole team of people that are called data scientists that take this stuff and turn it into things that you can use in your business. So when we're talking about analytics, we're talking about getting a chunk of your information. It could be footfall information, be purchase information out of your point of sale system or out of your loyalty program. And the kind of 4 layers are, first of all, just purely descriptive. And you've probably had access to this layer for a long time. It just tells you what has happened in the past. You've got a second layer, which is really around diagnostics. Why did that happen, right? the world of analytics that we're in now is to take those two things, the hindsight and some of the insight, and start turning it into some foresight. What will they buy next? Good examples of that you will have seen if any of you used Amazon.com. You've bought a book or a CD or something like that, and you've got the little recommendation. People like you that bought this book also bought this book. That's a good example of now what is very mature predictive analytics. And where we are heading in the future, which is prescriptive analytics, which is, hi Pablo, welcome back to the store. We have size 42 collar shirts in the blue that you like. We've preloaded that into your shopping cart because they're on special today. Okay? So this is the way that we see companies learning to use data to move from a backwards looking to something that's very much moving forwards. And what it ends up being is a combination of the backwards looking and the forwards looking. Actionable insights that you can take out of what people have done in the past, combined with algorithms and technology that are looking at what people are doing currently, and putting those together to provide predictive recommendations. So the actionable insights part is all about guiding your strategy and helping you manage better campaigns. And there's a whole series of questions that you can ask to understand your customers better. That's a good part. A better part is when you start getting into the recommendation side, where it becomes sending the right message at the right time. And this is all about taking a big leap forward. Many of you have probably used text or SMS marketing for years, which tends to be a real shotgun. This type of marketing is, let's assume, I haven't counted, let's say there's 50 of you in the room. In some of our customer installations of technology now, the 50 of you could walk into a store or a mall, receive some sort of notification or alert, and it actually might be 50 completely distinct, separate messages that are tailored to each individual person based on what we know about them and what's available right now. So in this short presentation, what I've wanted to do is highlight to you that although the world of e-commerce is growing rapidly and there are a lot of vendors that will talk to you about how you can capture that opportunity, what we know from experience with our largest retail customers around the region is that ultimately, if your major investment is still in physical stores, you've got to think about ways to bring this digital technology to a point where it helps you with customers in-store, near-store, on their way to or from a store. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. I'm actually also in the CMO forum in about an hour's time, roughly, and we'll be diving into this stuff in a little more detail to take it down to some more actionable insights that you could take away. I thank you for your time and happy to ask any questions if there are any.
Ada pertanyaan? Okay, if there is no question for now, just make sure you visit and meet Sprooki at the exhibition floor. Thank you. Thank you, Michael Gethen, CEO and founder from Sprooki, Singapore.